You guys, today's episode is a juicy one, and you are going to want to be either in front of your computer or you're going to want to have a notebook because Dawn Richardson from Tech Savvy Creative is sharing her top 5 tools that you must implement into your business to take back your life. Hey there, CEOs. Welcome to the Wedding Pro CEO podcast. I'm your host, Brandee Gaar, and my mission is to help you to build a profitable wedding business that you actually love. Dawn goes through each of these tools with us and shares how you can practically implement them into your business to either get back your time or to provide a better client experience to your couples or to generate more leads. So I know that this is going to be an impactful episode, and I can't wait to hear at the end what you are going to do, which one of these tools you're going to implement into your business and how it impacts you for 2024, because this is going to be a good one.
Wow, this is the first time we actually get to talk like one-on-one. I'm so excited to be here. And Brandee, I feel like I've known you for so long.
Yes, it's so true. I'm so excited about today's topic because on the show and with my students, I'm constantly just like, let's get more efficient. Let's take back your life. You want to have an incredible business that you love, but that supports a life you love too, right? Instead of at the mercy of it. And so today we are going to talk all about some of these incredible tools that we can use in our business to help us to be more efficient, to really to provide even a better service to our clients. But can you give us kind of the high level, like who is Dawn Richardson? What is Tech Savvy
Yes.
Creative?
So my story is like a full circle story. I started out my career in IT. I worked for Apple. I have a information systems degree and I worked as a software engineer before I ever stepped foot into the wedding space. I ended up with a camera in my hands like many photographers do and fell in love with it. I fell in love with the machine in my hands, but I fell in love with the idea of working for myself even more. I was started with portrait photography, got into weddings. I'm in the San Antonio area. And over the last 8 years, I shot
Mhm.
over 200 weddings down here. So I did that full time for a long time, but I quickly realized that many wedding professionals were very intimidated by technology. And that was my jam. I loved creating systems in my business. I loved finding that next thing just to make my life more streamlined and to give it a better experience for my clients. And then I started teaching other creatives and other wedding professionals how to do that. And I was like, "Okay, like, this is kinda weird, like, I'm trying to serve, like, my couples, but I'm also trying to serve other wedding professionals." So in 2020, we broke out the 2 businesses, and that's when Tech Savvy Creative was launched. And now I do this full time. I've
Wow.
fully phased out of weddings. I had 2 little girls in that time when I was working in the wedding industry, and I wanted my Saturdays back, and I wanted to come back to the world of tech, and now I get to serve creatives and wedding professionals and teach them how technology can change their lives. And our goal is to like create a very safe and friendly environment where people can learn from a friendly face that is going to walk with them through this process because none of us started this job to be at the mercy of it. Like we started this job for freedom and these
Yes.
tools and this technology can help you do that.
Oh my gosh. Yes, you're like speaking my love language right now. And you're so right that I think that softwares can be overwhelming. It can feel scary to start implementing tech or you don't know where to start with it. But I'd love to dig into, I know we're going to talk about your favorite 5 that can really impact the wedding industry. And
Mhm.
as our listeners are listening to this, I'd really encourage you to not go download all 5 after this episode, right? Because that is just going to overwhelm you. You're not going to do anything with them, but really lean into 1 or possibly 2 that you're like, "That's a real need or a real pain point in my business," and then maybe you can come back to this episode and then listen for another one. I want you to really, like,
Yes.
listen and implement what is gonna help you the most first,
Mhm.
because Dawn is gonna drop
Yes.
some amazing tools on us, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, the tools that we're going to talk about today are not ranked. And these are also I wouldn't call like core tools. When I think of
Okay.
core tools, I think of like your client management system, your task
Mm.
management system, what your website is built on. We're
Mhm.
going beyond that today. We can talk all about
Okay.
CRMs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the AI tools that we have at our disposal and other automation type tools that can just take you to that next level. And so we're going to
Yeah.
be focusing on those next level tools today for sure.
I'm so excited. Okay, what is the first one we're talking about?
So the first tool we're going to talk about is ChatGPT, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've probably heard of ChatGPT at some point. It's like the buzzword of 2023 is artificial
True.
intelligence and AI, and underneath that falls ChatGPT. Now, before I dive into ChatGPT though, I do want to talk about like what is AI and why is it
Mm,
different from an automation? Because I think
okay.
people get those really confused sometimes and they like try to interchange the word and it's not correct to do that. So, artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence and decision making by a
Okay.
machine, not by us. And AI has been around for a long time. We've talked about the algorithm for years and Instagram, and we're like, the algorithm, that's AI. That is learning. It's
Yeah.
machine learning. It is learning what we do in our habits, and it's making decisions based on that. Any home system that you say their name in the room, it responds to you as artificial intelligence. Autonomous cars, when you log into Amazon and it happens to have that dress
Mhm.
that you did not know you needed right there on that homepage, that is all artificial intelligence. So it is not new, but the access that we have to it is new. And that was introduced with ChatGPT. Now, automations and artificial intelligence are different because automations, we give it a defined set of rules. We say, when this happens, do this. And we're going to
Mhm.
talk about a tool in a little bit that is very clearly an automation. It's not making decisions on our behalf. So when we
Okay.
talk about these tools, I will let you know if it's an AI tool or if it's an automation tool.
That's a great note. Yeah, that's
Yes.
a great note to know the difference, and I know what tools you're gonna be talking about, so I'm like, "Yes, that's actually a really smart distinction to kind of start there so everybody understands."
Yes.
Some think for you, and then
Yes.
others are like, "You have to tell it exactly what to do." So that's a really
Yes.
important distinction. Okay.
Very cut and dry, like,
Yeah.
when this happens, do this. That's an automation. And then artificial intelligence is like adapting and evolving and learning from the mistakes and changing and growing over time. So, and
So
some most of
smart.
these tools we're talking about today are artificial intelligence. So, the first tool that I want to talk about is ChatGPT. And
Okay.
ChatGPT is like the big one that was introduced to the world last November, and the world just kind of freaked out. It was like, oh my gosh, this is artificial intelligence. It is here. And something
Mhm.
pretty amazing with ChatGPT, not only was it available to us, but a lot of other artificial intelligence tools are using the GPT framework to build their tool. They're using that language model to do their own thing as well. So that's why all of a sudden ChatGPT came out, and then all of a sudden there was like all these other ones suddenly popping
Yeah.
up because they are using that language model to do that. So ChatGPT, if you're not familiar with it, it's a product from OpenAI and it is free. You can
Mhm.
log in on the website and it basically gives you a chat window like a text message. And then you can ask it to do whatever you want. What are the trends, the wedding trends for 2023? And it'll spit out what
Mhm.
it is learning from the internet, is essentially what it is. It is learning, it is evolving, it is adapting. Now, something important I want to talk about with ChatGPT is a change that happened within the last week. Now, ChatGPT is able to accept images and voice as
Mhm.
an input. So, now let's think about that in the wedding world. Like, how can I use
Yeah.
that? If it will take an image, like I can give it an image of a flower and ask it, what kind of flower is this? I love florals. That's like one of my
That's
favorite
insane.
parts of being in the wedding industry. I can learn what flower that was simply by giving ChatGPT that tool. I can also say something like, here's a color palette. What florals are in this color palette? I keep using
Right.
florals, but that's something very
No, but
visual,
that's
right?
super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, so giving it input, asking it a question based off the input, it's able to give you a text answer back.
Wow.
Another fun way, like this is obviously not wedding related, but one of the ways that was like advertised on how it can be used is take a
Yeah.
picture of the inside of your refrigerator and ask it, what can I make for dinner tonight based off of what's inside of my refrigerator? And it can
What?
evaluate and then give you suggestions based off of what is there. So, really powerful ways that we're going to see this evolve. And this just came out like a week ago and it's still slowly rolling out. I pay for ChatGPT
Yes.
Plus and I still don't have access to the images. So I wish I could like show you how it works real time, but I don't have access yet. But hopefully I do soon.
Soon.
But it's just going to change how we do things. Instead of trying to Google the thing, can we just ask ChatGPT and it gives us a very specific answer to our question? And that's a really powerful tool to have in our toolbox as wedding professionals.
Wow. Yeah, I'm obsessed with the whole inputting images thing. And I
Yeah.
think too that could really be used to as a planner, it's my job to describe to especially the design vendors what the
Mhm.
feel of the event's going to be, what vision we're really going for. So I would find it interesting to maybe input a few images from my client's mood board and ask it to describe that event,
Oh, I
right?
love
So
that.
to kinda almost
Yeah.
give an event a brand voice, right? I could
Yeah.
see that working really well for planners. One of the things I love doing with it, 'cause I use the paid version as well, is to put in a website and ask it to
Mhm.
describe the brand voice of that website. So, like, tell me
Yes.
the tone of this website or tell me the brand voice of this website. So I think there's so many things that we don't realize that we can do with ChatGPT. You don't
Mhm.
have to just ask it questions. You can literally have it analyze things for you, and then you can use that data
Mhm.
using this brand voice that you pulled from this website. Now
Yeah.
write a blog on this topic in that brand voice, right? So I think that there's so much that you can do with it, and it's like my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. I would even be curious to think of what would happen if you gave it a floor plan and
Oh,
be like, I have 175 guests. What is the most even way to space out these tables or to seat guests at a table? Couldn't figure that out
no,
for me
but
instead of me just like trying to like calculate it on my own with sticky notes and stuff.
yeah,
I think that would be like there's so many different ways that you can use it. And I think just as you hit those pain points in your business
yes,
is when you say, like, this is a really mundane and awful part of what I do. Are there tools out there that can help me do this? And that's where tools
yes.
like this come in.
Okay, so ChatGPT, that's the one almost everybody listening is like, "Yep, I've used it, maybe even just basically, but here's some other ways that you can use it." And
Yes.
yeah, tool number 2, Don, what are we talking about
Tool
next?
number 2. So, this tool is for all of my wedding professionals out there that have a team, okay?
Okay,
And we haven't talked
love it.
much about this on any podcast I've been on, so I'm excited because I was like, "This is perfect for Brandee. Let's talk about it." But there are tools out there that will take your SOPs, your content, your blog posts, even your emails, and it will accept those as input and it will create an artificial intelligence bot based off of your information. So, if you have a team and you have a bunch of planners under you, or if you have a team of associates, whatever that looks like, they can go to this tool, ask it a question, and it will respond based off the information that you gave it. So, it's amazing. This one of my favorites, the one I've played with that I've enjoyed the most using is called Meet
Mhm,
Cody. It's just Cody.
okay,
I think it's meetcody.ai. And
okay.
it just accepts that input, so whether that's online content or videos or whatever it is, and over time, like, you can train
Mhm.
it and you can continue to evolve it and grow it. If your team members have a question like, "What is our cancellation policy?" It knows your
Right,
contract, so it'll spit out that information to you when your team
team
members
member,
ask
yeah,
that question inside of the bot. So, really powerful, especially if you have a team and you can't answer every question on Slack or whatever's
yeah.
going on. It just gives them a resource and a home base of information. And I think this comes down to like, do you have SOPs in your business? That's just like a core thing. But if you do take advantage of those SOPs and all of that stuff that you have put so much effort into and let the AI bot do the work of answering those questions for you.
Okay, this is so good. I feel like some of our listeners are feeling seen right now. They're like, "Wait a second, so I have to have the SOPs first." But when you say I think some people get scared by the word SOP because they think it has to be this
Mhm.
formal document with the title and the procedure and the exact, but it doesn't have to be that. Like you're talking about videos. So could you have it learn from Loom videos that you've done? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna bring it up right now and tell you.
That is so fun. If we, because for me, we have an entire Loom library. And so for the SOPs
Right.
that we do write more formally, not necessarily formally, but that we have procedure for, we'll link Loom videos over to it anyway, because sometimes it's just easier to watch the screen. But like you're saying, even emails, if I tell it, if I send directions to a staff member, then it can learn that. Or the contract, actually, funny enough, I cannot tell you how often I message my right hand, my director of operations, and say, what's our cancellation policy? Or what's our, because I
Yeah.
know it's in our contract, but I don't want to go try to find the contract template to know exactly. So I'm sure my team has those kind of questions too.
Yeah. I just checked the website. It
Yeah.
says that it needs text. So it'll take a
Okay.
PDF, a PowerPoint, or written text. It'll also take a link to a website. But if you have
Ooh.
Loom videos, it would not be hard to get the transcript from those videos
It
and then hand
transcribes
it
them
over.
for you now. I'm so obsessed with Loom, I can't even take it. But that's another one we probably aren't even talking about. But like Loom too, it transcribes your videos anyway. So you could just take the
Mhm.
transcription, dump it in there, and now
Yeah.
it's learning these things. Because I will tell you, the number one challenge with having processes and procedures in general is that people
Mhm.
forget to go find them, right? Like they
Right.
know there's a whole database of processes and procedures, but they don't know where to find it. They don't want to take the time to go find it. So they ask in the team chat, this one I'm going to go try.
Right.
This is going to be the one I'm going to go try in my company and see
And
how it
let me
works.
know
So,
yeah, and you
yeah.
have to let me know how you feel using it. I don't have a team,
Okay.
it's just me right
Yeah.
now, so it's not something I can actually experiment with, but I would love to hear how it integrates in your business and how, like, you
Yeah.
refer your team members to it also. It does say also that it gives you references, like a source, so if somebody asks a
Oh,
question and it gives you an answer, it says, "We found it from this place." So they can go back to that contract or they can go
and
back
make
to
sure it's
that
right.
document and evaluate, which is really cool.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with this. We're going to do like a little trial on this and I'm going to come back and tell you how it went because this is so fun. I think it
Yes.
solves the pain point of I have all of these tools and resources for my team, but they don't go find them there, and then
Yeah,
nobody's using them anyway, so I love it.
yeah,
Okay, Dawn,
that's awesome.
what is the 3rd one?
So the next tool, and I know you're a big fan of this tool and use it yourself,
Oh gosh.
is an automation tool. This is not an AI tool because this tool is not making decisions on my behalf. But
Okay.
it is a very important tool and it's very powerful. And this one's called ManyChat. So the idea behind ManyChat, if you have not heard of it is an online automation. It is a Meta partner, so you are allowed to use this and they won't shut down your Instagram account. If you ever see anybody post and they say something like, comment blank and I will send you
Mhm.
a DM, or comment like this number and I'll send you a link to the podcast episode, this is probably ManyChat working in the background, and it is very amazing. It is wonderful. But you create these workflows inside of the tool that say, okay, I want this to work on this post, or I want it to work on all posts. I want it to trigger if somebody comments this word, and you can give it different variations of the word. You can also say when somebody comments that word, I want it to automatically reply with one of these comments, and you can set up like a whole like list of different comments. So, for example, if I am linking to this podcast episode, I can say comment podcast for a direct link, and people comment podcast and it will automatically reply to them from me saying, awesome, just sent it to you, check your DMs, and you can
Yes.
have all the different responses. But then it sends them a DM with that link or that freebie or that opt in or whatever it is you are
Mhm.
using. But if you are somebody that is building your email list and you have freebies and opt ins, whether they be for your couples or for other wedding professionals, this is a really great way to give people access to it. The thing
Mhm.
about ManyChat though is it's really powerful because it is publicly facing in a way. So when you come across a post and you see that 100 people have commented on this post wanting the link, I want the link too. So
Yeah.
I'm getting more people and more traction on my links and such because people are having FOMO. They see that all of these other
Mhm.
people have commented on this freebie and they want it too just to see what it's all about. So it just generates more and more and it's really exciting. It's a really great and easy tool to use.
I agree with you 100%, and to be honest, I was like, "This is not gonna be that cool, like, I'm not dealing with it, I can't have another thing," and a friend of mine was like, "I'm using it, and it's literally changing my business," and I was like, "No way," and so I was on a long road trip with my family, and I thought, "You know what? I don't have anything else to do in the car, I'm gonna just try to set this up." It took me less than an hour to learn how to set it up, get a full automation set up, it's not difficult at all,
Mhm.
and it has been, I would say, the biggest game changer in terms of tech in my business this year because kinda like you just said, like, if you have a freebie, you never know, people can't see who's visiting the link in your bio, but the FOMO
Mhm.
of it, of seeing all these other
Yeah.
people that are commenting, and then plus, I think Instagram pushes your post when you get more engagement on it, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So the more people that comment and then your bot comments back and then more people comment, it's like it's just creating that much more of an engagement on your post. For
Mhm.
wedding pros, how would you see wedding pros implementing this into their business? What would be something that you would encourage them to use as a DM or as a
Yeah.
word?
So, any of your services, so as wedding professionals, let's say you're a venue,
Okay.
comment the word tour 2024 to get a link to
Mhm.
schedule a tour. If you have like a guide for your clients or like an
Mhm.
opt in for your couples, like offering
Yeah.
that, like newly engaged, make sure you do these three things. And maybe it's a blog post. How are you
Yeah.
getting them in the door? Could it be a link to your services? Could it be a link to that latest blog post that you posted from your last wedding? There's so many different ways that you can use this. Photographers, if you're in mini session season or if you are offering like engagements or a giveaway or whatever it is, use that to you like to send them the link to sign up for it or to sign up for your newsletter or to
Mhm.
register for your open house. There's so many different ways that basically anything that we do as wedding professionals could be an automation. Because if you're posting about it, then you wanna share about it. So let's share
Right.
about it even further with a direct link, whether that's collecting their information, their email addresses, or it's a giveaway, or just giving them information and education to be an amazing couple and client.
I love it. I love it. I'm a big fan of the opt-in. So many of us
Mhm.
have click my link in bio to get my free budget planner, my free timeline planner, or whatever you have. And this gets so much more engagement. I cannot say that enough times. Like the engagement will be so much higher on this than telling them to
Yes.
go to your link in bio. So I would love to see you guys check out ManyChat. I think it's a game changer. So what is number 4?
Number 4, if I had to pick a favorite tool in my business right now, it would probably be this one, and it is called Hoppy Copy. It is called Hoppy Copy. I love this tool. It is fun to say. It is a beautiful tool to use, but it is powerful. So,
Okay.
Hoppy Copy is an AI tool that helps with email marketing. That's like their primary function. Now, for me, I'm just gonna be super vulnerable with you guys right now. I am the worst email marketer. I have an email list. They never get emailed. I'm just not, that's not where my brain works. So I stumbled on Hoppy Copy because I was looking for help in that space. That is my pain point. That's where I needed to grow. And that's
Yeah.
how I got here. So Hoppy Copy is powerful because it helps me create these email sequences. So it says, hey, what are you trying to create a sequence on? And I'm like, I'm trying to create a welcome sequence after somebody buys my course. And it
Okay.
says, great. These are like the 5 emails you want to send and when you should send them. And then when I click on each of those emails, it asks me questions. It's what's the name of your product? How much is it offering? What are the key benefits? It asks me very detailed questions to create and generate that email for me using artificial intelligence. So I'm able to say, this is a welcome email. Tell me about you, all of these things. And it generated that email for me. Goes on to the next one. It says, this one should be a value email. Give them a nugget of information or a story. And then it asks me prompts to help me generate that story. So I've
Wow.
been able to create multiple email sequences in my business because Hoppy Copy has guided me through what I need to know. Now, Hoppy Copy has some other really powerful features. One of them is brand voice. You can teach it your brand voice so it creates this information using your voice, your content, how you speak. The
Okay.
other thing that it does is it monitors emails from other businesses. So, one way is really powerful to use this is to put in like the newsletter to the knot in there. What
Oh,
are our couples and our brides and our clients reading and understanding so we can make better decisions in our business too, whether that be education on why the knot was incorrect or
right.
wedding professionals. We've all had that where somebody comes to us and they have this expectation of something and we're like, where did you hear that? And
Yeah.
a lot of times it's the knot. Or they come to you with like 400 questions and you're like, where did you get this? And it was a blog post from the knot. So
Right, right.
having that come in and collected by Hoppy Copy puts it all in one location. So you can go in there and see what the Knot and these other large companies are sharing with brides and your clients and couples. And
Yeah.
you can be ready to respond and to give them a better experience, whether that be, this is why I don't charge this, like the
Right.
Knot might suggest, or just being aware of what trends the knot is talking about, what they're coming to the table with. So I think that's really powerful. There's also features within Hoppy Copy that repurpose your content. So one of my
Right.
favorite ways to use it is converting my old blog posts into YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So I give
Wild.
it my blog post and I say, turn this into a YouTube script, and it will spit out a script for me. And it'll be like, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Like it like gives me
Wow.
everything, all that information, and it basically creates that, like, nice flow that a great YouTube video does have. So, big fan of Hobby Copy all around. If I had to pick one tool that you checked out, it's
Yeah.
probably this one just because it has so much amazing features and enhancements
Mhm.
inside of it, and it's just a really great tool to use.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about it on another podcast, and I was
Mm,
sharing with you before the show that I was like, I should have done it when I had more time. And that's kind of what I was telling you guys before when we very first started. Pick one tool and go all in on it. I just was actually looking at it again while you were talking because
mhm,
I was like, I think what I love about it, and I've only done the free trial, right, is that it's pretty. So for wedding
mhm.
pros, that's important, right? I like
It is important.
it it's easy to 'cause my husband uses a ton of tools that are so, like, "Meh," they're just ugly,
Yeah.
and I know that that sounds silly, but it does help your creative juices. So, it's pretty, it's easy to flow, and it really does do a lot, like convert blogs to emails or emails to tweets or tweets to text, like, the repurposing of your content, I think, is a really big deal for wedding pros because especially if you don't have a team, if you don't have a social media manager and, you're constantly feeling like you have to put out all of this content, when in reality, you could write a really great blog, which ChatGPT can even help you with, and then you can have it repurpose that into social media content or emails and things like that.
Mhm.
So I think that it's a really massive tool for somebody that has
Yeah.
a small team or is only themselves, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, like we talked about in the beginning, like, where are your pain points? This is
Yeah.
where my pain point was, which is what
Mhm.
drew me there to begin with. And I came there for my pain point, but
Yeah.
found so many other uses for it as well. So this is the one that will be on my annual subscription list for a very long time to come.
I love it. And one other note, when you were talking about email campaigns, there's some wedding pros that are like, I don't even do email marketing. Like, I don't even know how I would use it. One of the things I would encourage you to consider is that just with the tools that Dawn has given us here today, using ManyChat for a free
Mhm,
opt in, right? So, like a free budget planner, a free shot list as a photographer, whatever it is that you have as a freebie. What if you then had that freebie and then instead of them just getting the freebie, right? Because then what are you doing with their lead, with their information? Have something like Hoppy Copy write you a 3 or 4 email series to introduce them
mhm.
to your company, give them a little bit more information, all based on that freebie. I just think that there's so
Yes.
much that you can do with these tools that you've talked about today. So I'm excited.
That
These are
nurture
fun.
sequence is vital. So when
It's
I
huge.
was in the wedding industry as a photographer, when somebody booked with me, they got put into
Yeah.
a nurture sequence, and it was
Okay.
like 12 tips for their wedding, like from a photographer's
Mm,
perspective, like how to
okay.
create or how to choose the groupings for their family formal shot list, what's important,
Okay.
or like talking about like timeline information and light and where it matters. Talking about why the light matters more than the background as a photographer,
Ooh.
that was important. Talking about, like, where not to put the cake for cake cutting from a photographer's perspective.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it was like this 12 email series that they got after they booked with me,
Mhm.
and it just gave them that touch point. Because as a photographer, like, we might have an engagement session together, but I don't see them or talk to them as much as a planner would. So that's my way to stay relevant and like, "Hey, I'm still happy that you're giving me your money. Let's continue this relationship." And it just
Yes.
creates more of a connection on wedding day because they feel like they've been talking to me for the last year, like, consistently, when I
Mhm.
might have actually only been talking to them in person, like, 1 or 2 times over that course
Mhm.
of that year. So, it's really powerful
That's
in
so
many
good.
different ways that you can use it.
So good. I love this. Okay. Number 5, Don, what do you have for us for this last one?
So, this last one, I think, is probably not the prettiest in terms of, like, wow, these tools are just, like, amazing or it's beautiful, but it's
Yeah.
probably one of the more functional tools,
Okay.
especially if you have any meetings of any kind. So whether that be
Wait,
with
none
your
of us ever
team.
have meetings, Dawn.
Never,
Why would
right?
we?
So if you have like a
Mhm.
consultation, or if you're having a touch point meeting with your couple, or if you're having a team meeting, or if you're having a vendor meeting, whatever that might be, a
Yeah.
final walkthrough online, whatever it might be, there are tools out there that will join your call with you and transcribe, record, and summarize the entire call for you. My favorite tool is called Fathom. It is free. It is
Okay.
amazing. It is wonderful. And basically, what it does, anytime I jump into a Zoom call, it joins the room also and it says Don's AI note taking bot. It joins as a
Okay.
person. And what it does is it transcribes real time what is happening. And I can click a button on my screen because it'll show up on the side of my screen for something important. And let's say my client is telling me something significant about their family that I need to
Right.
like remember, I can
Right.
push the little flag button and it will flag it from the point that she started talking, even if that had already
Oh, wow.
passed. It'll flag
Wow.
it. It will stop flagging it when she's done talking. And then it will make it a different color in the transcript, and
Yeah.
I can name it like important note, so I can easily pick out those important nuggets. It's also really great if you like do any type of podcasting via Zoom and you
Yeah.
want to save those little audio clips or remember to come back to this thing for your content later. But then it also summarizes for you. So if your team wasn't able to make it to that hour and a half long meeting, they can read a 2-minute summary of what was talked about and they can go dive into the transcript to find out the real information if they need to. It also records it for you, so you get a video, and if I click on the word in the transcript, it'll take the video to that point in time. But it's just a really handy tool to have anytime you're talking with a client or with a team member, because I don't know about you guys, but, like, when I was balancing and juggling 30 clients at the same time, like, sometimes I'd be like, "Wait, what did I tell that client about their album?" Because I was somebody that every time after a meeting, I would go email them, be like, "Here, this is what we talked about." But now I can be
Mhm.
like, "Here's a link to our video call," and you have that whole
Right.
transcript, and that video right there in the tool, and it's pretty amazing.
Wow. Yeah, I love this, especially if you have a team. If you don't have a team, I think
Mhm.
it's obvious how this would be helpful, right? But often we team plan weddings on our team.
Mhm.
We might have one of our team members that's working on design and then somebody else is working on the logistics, right? And so being
Mhm.
able to have every single one of those calls flag something for your logistics partner, right?
Yeah.
And be able to keep those notes in their
Yeah.
file because God knows sometimes we've got to go back to a call and say,
Yeah.
no, that's not exactly how that went down. Here's the transcript.
Yeah.
I have not used this. I have actually lots of my students that have these bots that join our training calls, and I always think it's so
Yeah.
funny, but
Right.
it is great for your educational calls too to have your bot join
Yeah.
it. That way you can kind of be working in the background, but anything that's important, you can go, "Oh, wait, flag that. I wanna come back to it," right?
Right.
Um,
Right. I've seen people send their bots in place of them if they can't be there.
yes,
So,
well,
which is
that's
pretty
what I
cool.
have found funny is when a bot joins, but the student doesn't, and I'm like,
Does
"Where
it?
are
Yeah.
you?" Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I sent my bot," or, "I had the bot join," and I'm like, "That's so funny to me." There was actually a Shark Tank product, I'm a Shark Tank junkie,
Oh, I love
a
Shark Tank.
couple of seasons ago called Bueller.
Okay.
And it was an AI bot that joined the meetings for you, took notes, so similar thing, but it actually was a video of you that you would pre-record just kinda, like, nodding
Oh
or,
my
like, listening,
gosh.
and so it looked like you were there, but I was like, "What would happen if they called on you?" Like, that would be but, I mean, if you worked for a big corporation where you had to just log into these meetings to listen, I
Yeah.
could see how that would be interesting, but it was a college kid who developed it for, like, lectures, online lectures, and
Yeah.
he was like, "You can send your bot, and then it gives you a transcript of the meeting, so you don't
It's
even have to
amazing.
go." Anyway, so okay, so Dawn, I'm obsessed with all 5 of these, and I want to use all 5 of them. I already used 2, so I feel
Mhm.
okay that I can take it one step at a time here, but the one I am gonna go check out immediately is gonna be Meet Cody. I'm gonna go check that
Mhm.
one out. But I think I might see if my social media manager can check out Hoppy Copy because that could
Mhm.
really help us a lot there. And
Yeah.
then I might send Fathom to my operations director and say, "Hey, check this out for the team and see if it's something we could implement, so that
Absolutely.
everybody can really benefit from this." So
Mhm.
I'm obsessed. But what I would love to challenge our listeners to do is to listen to this episode and choose one, right? We talked about that. Just choose one that they might implement and to DM us and tell us what one that they're going to implement into their company.
And something important that I like to share whenever talking about tools of any kind, as creatives and as wedding professionals, what works for
Yeah,
me might not work for you, and that's totally fine.
true. Yeah.
And I think it's just really important that you sit down and experiment with these tools for yourself and make a decision based off of you
Hmm.
and your needs and what's important to you. Also, like just a disclaimer, go read the privacy policy of these tools to make sure that they're not using your
True.
data in a weird way that
True.
you're not comfortable with. But go experiment with them, and there's so many more tools out there far beyond these 5 tools that we talked about.
Yeah.
I do have a free AI toolkit for
Yeah.
creatives.
Okay.
If anybody's interested in that, they can get it at techsavvycreative.com/AI. But all of
Okay.
these tools are in that toolkit as well, as a lot of other tools, some photography specific tools like Imagine AI and all these other fun ones like Descript. I don't know if anybody's used
Oh,
Descript, but the
we love
list
to
goes
script.
on. I do
Yes.
too. I love Descript. The list goes on and on, but you just, again, have to identify those pain points in your
Yeah.
business, evaluate what can help me with that pain point, and then find the tool that works for you. And that's what matters most. It doesn't matter what I'm using or what Brandy's using.
Yep.
It matters what helps you get you to your goal of having that business that you've always dreamed of.
So good. Oh my gosh, this was so fun. Okay, Dawn, thank you so much for being here. Where can everybody come
Yeah.
find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Tech Savvy Creative, or you can find me on YouTube also at Tech Savvy Creative. I just launched that YouTube channel. It is very bare, but it's going to be growing here quite a bit here soon. But I'll be there giving you relevant tech advice. I keep you up to date on tech news and
Yeah.
help you learn about things like software and AI tools, but also computer hardware, choosing the right computer for your business and for you, and a
Okay.
lot of other good tech related things. So that's where you
I
can
love
find
it.
me.
So good. You guys, this was such a great episode. Dawn, thank you so much for these tips and tools. If you pick one of these tools and you are going to implement it into your business, DM Dawn and I'm at Brandee Gaar, and tell us which one you're going to implement so we can cheer you on. And you guys, thank you so much for being here every single week. Dawn, thank you. This was great.
Thanks for having me.